Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Groups. I'm so excited to be talking to Renee today. So we're going to talk all about Renee's group, New Narratives, and get started there. So Renee, why don't you start us by start us off by saying who you are, who you work with, and what's the work you do in the world?
Yes. Thank you for having me, Kerry. I'm Renee Frojo, pronounced like frozen yogurt. So
Love
got you
it. No one will forget
having
that.
to pronounce that, yeah. I've gotten discounts at frozen yogurt shops in the past trying to say that, but it doesn't happen often. I'm a former journalist turned content marketer, really using storytelling in the marketing space. That's kind of what defined me and set my work apart when I was early into it. About 10 years ago, I made the switch from journalism into the business side of things. And for the past 3 years, I have been working one-on-one with coaches, consultants, online business owners to help them with their brand marketing, essentially like getting very clear on their brand story and then how that brand story then lives and breathes in the world through content. Having a very clear through line and bringing in a lot of personal storytelling because so much of what we need to do as independent business owners trying to stand out in a very noisy, crowded online space now infiltrated by AI generated expertise is our personal story. It is what is magnetic. It's what differentiates us. It's truly the only thing that really helps us stand out and attract opportunities, as opposed to constantly having to be outbound and doing sales. And once you really start figuring out that personal narrative engine and building into your content, opportunities just start coming flowing in. So I was doing that one-on-one for people, and then I decided to start a group because so much of what I could teach is in groups. So I started doing group cohorts, and 2 years ago, 3 years ago now, I also launched retreats. So the retreats were kind of a separate business from the storytelling brand marketing. It was really more about bringing independent business owners together in real life to really focus on everything strategy, have those intimate conversations about pricing, share resources. And I knew that was always something I was looking for and I couldn't find it. I couldn't find a business retreat that was part personal reset, part strategy, talk where
Yes.
we could like talk about mindfulness and money in the same breath, right? In a beautiful
Love that.
space. So my first retreat was in Costa Rica, and then the second retreat was in Mexico City last year, and this year we're doing it in the Redwoods on the coast in
Very
Point
cool.
Reyes, California. And so I would say the retreat is a bit of an extension of the online community group cohorts that is now an ongoing membership community that I host. But there's a lot of crossover, and a lot of the members in my community join the retreat. And so it's really an opportunity to go deeper with those relationships. And the past retreat attendees, we're all still in communication. We're all still in a group together. We're constantly sharing clients, resources, tools, hiring each other, to do work for
Love
each
it.
other. So it's just like it's exactly what we all need, is like true community. And that's always been my goal. I've joined a lot of communities, I've joined a lot of groups. But the hard thing for me is in order for like a real community model to work financially, I think you need scale, right? Or you need it at a super high cost to have it be like a small group. And there was no in between where it's like this is affordable for a lot of people, but it's not this massive group that you have to figure out how to navigate and becomes like a whole other thing on your to-do list. So that's what I'm really trying to do. Um,
Yes.
and I can't say I've completely figured out the business model, but I really love the experience. So
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. So a couple things stand out when you're talking about that. One is, that idea that people are still in touch. I always joke with people that like the best indicator that you have a great group is like friends are created and they talk without you, right? Like it's like it happens without you. So it's not that you're kind of keeping everybody in contact. So there's that piece of it. And then I think you really touch on a real tension that happens where it's like, how do I make this affordable for people and accessible?
Mm.
right? And obviously, scale is part of that, but then without losing kind of that small community connected, we actually know each other
Yeah.
standpoint. And retreats is a really powerful part of that model
Yeah.
because what it allows you to do is obviously there's a higher cost usually with a retreat and in person, but there's a destination, there's like an experience that comes with it, so there's that piece of it, but it is also about getting people out of their day to day and having them have conversations that you just can't have when you're like going from one Zoom to the next or like
Yeah.
walking the dog to then, all those kinds of things.
Well, it's like everybody knows when you go to a conference, you end up making all the business deals and really making the relationship happen at the bar, right? Like that's
Yes.
everything happens is at the bar.
Yeah.
Um, and a 3 or 4 week long, 3 day or 4 day or week long retreat, those conversations are happening all the time, that entire
Yes.
time, right? In between the workshops, on the walks, while we're having breakfast. And you just, yeah, you can't replicate that online.
Yes. Yeah, right. Like there's a proximity piece, there's an openness piece, there's like just the novelty of it
Yeah.
is all part of that. And, people are like when they have to travel to get somewhere, there's a different level of commitment to it, right? Like it's not
Yeah.
just the thing that you said yes to or the thing that piqued your interest while you were scrolling at some point in time. It's like you have to organize like childcare, house care,
Yeah.
getting there, all that kind of stuff. And so the people who show up are there for a real reason as well. It isn't just like, oh, I think it would be fun. I mean, fun can be part
No,
of,
they're invested. They're
yeah.
committed for sure.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And what is really cool is sometimes I find with people who are putting on retreats is, they get really into like jam packing the content, right?
Mm,
And what I heard you saying there is like so much of what happens is the conversations, right? Like on your way to breakfast, who did you have lunch with? All those kinds of things. And so when I'm talking to people about groups, part of what I'm talking about is what is the content that will support those conversations? Because so
mhm.
many times the conversation can be in reaction to whatever those pieces are. So, what you ended up talking about, what you ended up sharing becomes the conversation kind of sparks that happen in the different places.
100%, exactly. And that was the piece I really had to workshop in the last couple of workshops and learned, definitely learned from the first one. We tried to, I think, just pack so much content because that's where we felt like the value was in the first one in Costa
Yeah.
Rica. And while everyone loved the workshops, it was a little overwhelming. It was almost too much. So refine that for Mexico City. And still, it's like, we need a week, we need a week. 4 days isn't enough. Uh,
Yes.
but that's then hard financially. So finding that balance. That's exactly what we learned, I think, especially in last year's Mexico City retreat, was the workshops that really helped spark the conversation that then really dug into the intricacies of running a business that people wanted to talk about. So that's all gone to inform this next one. And I think it's just that every year you learn a little bit, you refine it, you grow, you improve it. And I'm really looking forward to this year. I feel like we really have. um I like we've got it now. We've got it. And my co-host this year is not the same as last year. She's actually a participant that came both to
Love
Costa
it.
Rica and Mexico City, and she's a longtime friend too, and she is just such a skilled, talented business strategist. And she keeps us on task, and she knows exactly what we need to focus on because as business owners and entrepreneurs, we just get distracted by all the shiny objects, right? And we want to grow and we want to grow tomorrow and we want to do everything. And Carrie just like really brings you back down to earth and helps you think of the next logical step.
Yes.
Yeah, she really helps clear all that noise.
I love that.
So she really is such a great counterpart to I help people really think big. I really help people think through their positioning and their messaging and their story and sort of that greater narrative, making sure that's aligned,
Yes.
and your intent with what the business that you want to build. So yeah, I'm just really looking forward to having it's like a yin yang this year. I don't know. It's like a heart and head connection really
Yes. Yeah.
happening. Which
Which
is
is awesome because, one of the things I love, I call them collaborative group experiences where you do have those two or three people who are kind of co-leading.
Mhm.
And what it allows you to do, like you said, the heart and the head, or it's like, oftentimes it's like the one that's like kind of louder and more boisterous. And then you've got the person who's like this calm demeanor, grounding piece of it. And it really does allow the participants to kind of get more than just one flavor in that same time. And it really just makes it so that it's more appealing to people, but it also just gets them to stretch a little bit more too. And it's different questions and it's different kind of approaches. And it can be so powerful. And it's actually a lot more fun to
Yeah.
lead it with someone else too, because
Oh,
you're not like to carry everything for like
necessary.
3 to 4 days, especially
Yes.
like in a retreat format. That's a lot. I mean, I know people do it, but it's like you're so exhausted versus when you find the right kind of collaborators, it actually gives you energy. And sometimes you're like, I'm at the back of the room, and other times you're at the front, and yeah, I love them.
Yeah. Yeah. And what we do that I realized just recently, because I've been networking with a lot of other retreat leaders and we, share experiences and resources and all that. Is I didn't realize that this was unique to what we do, but we have a couple of spots that we specifically keep for other who participants that want to participate in the retreat, but would make great workshop leaders as well that can bring
Love
something
that.
different to the table. So we typically look for somebody in like sales, operations, or productivity, um, and uh, and what else am I missing? Or just another skill set that we might not have. But those are sort of like the big ones, right?
Yeah,
And so it's not just me and Kerry. Then we also have a couple of other speakers. And then we have like people who are like really, really dialed in on LinkedIn or specific channels, and we give them opportunities to lead something like during a meal, or during an
very cool.
activity. So that really is kind of a group learning experience.
Love
That's not
that.
just like, two people at the head talking to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Which
yeah, we have
is
some
the
great others.
model I think
Mhm.
so many people follow. And I kind of put it to our like traditional education system, right? Like you had the teacher who
Mm,
knew
yeah.
everything and they told you what to learn. And then they even told you if you learned it or not, right? Like they had tests and all that versus this kind of idea that every single person who joins your group has wisdom, like,
Oh,
and it's a different experience from you and all this kind of stuff. So being able to kind of say, what are the right ways to kind of bring it in that is supportive of everybody and still allows kind of people to grow and people to learn. And yeah, I do really think that's the way that all this will eventually kind of go is that ability to do that.
well, facilitation is a different skill set and it's a unique skill set. I actually did a training and a course to become a facilitator, and I didn't realize. So I got the basics right, going through that, but then launching my online cohort and membership community, and then leading the retreats. I think I didn't realize how much unlearning I had to do from that like top down source of authority teacher model, and really be like where all the real learning happened was when I stepped into the role of facilitator and help people come to the learning
Yes.
on their own. That's when the light bulb really comes on. But it's so hard. It's hard to learn the
Yes.
skill set. It takes a lot of practice, right?
Yeah.
And it's the hardest thing. And I remember learning this now, but it was, I guess, again, I had to learn in practice. Was
Totally.
that the best teacher is really the best facilitator, and our egos get in the way. We feel this pressure to show up as the one who knows everything, right?
Yes.
Like, as the source of truth and information, and it's yeah, it's so much more conducive to learning when you can actually be the one who knows how to ask the right questions.
Yes, yeah, and step back and allow it to happen and to be able to read the room so
Yeah.
like when is the right time to lean in and and it does take practice and it starts with the idea of recognizing like what is my true purpose. I call it the program promise, but what are we
Mhm.
promising they'll accomplish and or experience here and what is the best way to support that, right? So I love that. I'm curious if you have any questions kind of going into your third retreat around groups or kind of retreats in general that you'd like me to at least take a shot at.
Um, um, okay, easy one to start. What do you think is the ideal number of people for an in-person group?
Yeah, so my kind of bandwidth I say is 6 to 16.
Mm,
Now, if you get closer to that 16, that's where it's like two co-facilitators are like a must.
yeah.
And when you get into in person, then it becomes like 16 can feel a little bit gross, right? Like it is a
Mm,
lot to manage. So 6 to 16 is kind of where I play, and six is so that there is that opportunity to do pairs and triads and like you
mm,
can really kind of play with it. Any less than six, and it's like it's really just one kind of group. It's harder to kind of put them
yeah,
there.
yeah,
My favorite is 10 to 12
yeah,
because it gives you that flexibility and people still really connect with each other.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, we have 15 seats this year. Last year we had 12. Year before that we had 10.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
two facilitators, and then the other workshop leaders. So
Yeah.
okay, all right. So that's good. That's validating. That's good to know. Um, I was like, that's kind of just intuitively, and it makes
Totally. And
sense.
trying it out. Yes.
But it's nice to have that confirmed. Okay,
Yeah.
what other question? I think the hardest part in getting people to come to a retreat, the whole sales and marketing piece of it is that if you've been to a retreat or led them, that the ROI is sort of less tangible than other big investments, right? Like that the ROI like pays itself like, over and over again. Like I said, like people have hired me from the retreat. We hire each other, we share resources, we share clients, like more than paid for itself in terms of the network. And what you learn, but what people really come away with is like that sense of clarity. And that's hard to market. You know what I mean? That's hard to put in like a sales, piece of sales
Yes.
content where you're like, "No, but this is really what you're gonna get of it. And you're gonna that's gonna be the best thing you've done all year." But that, you kind of it so I would just be curious on your thoughts on that. And in me.
Yeah. So there's two pieces. One is like it's hard to define in general, right? So like does clarity mean the same thing? Like there's like it's a nebulous kind of ROI that comes from it.
Mhm.
The other thing is you're actually you have I call it crappy group fatigue, where
Mhm.
so many of us have said yes to things that didn't quite turn into what we wanted. So that's also in the back of your mind too. So
Mhm.
what I will say is two things. One is obviously like the testimonials and grabbing stuff at the retreat. So like not recording the conversations, but like the photographs, the videos, getting people to talk right there and then and kind of capture what they're feeling in that moment is probably
Mhm.
the best way to
Yeah.
express that. And then the other thing that I will say is for me, one of the things that I kind of am always looking at is like, what does the after program support look like, right? So it's like you have this great
Mhm.
experience,
Yeah.
we're all together and we all love each other and things feel great. And what is the next thing? And so what I the reason I bring that up in the ROI conversation is sometimes when you have that after program support already worked in as part of the group experience,
Mhm.
that also kind of sells itself because there's like, okay, we're going to come together and there's this other part at the end that's going to feel even more tangible and more recognizable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
That's a great call out. You just gave me an idea for a piece of content too.
Yay. That's
But
how it
yeah,
happens,
so
right?
yeah, yeah. Oh, I can't not think in content. It's a problem.
I love that.
One thing we did do is we invited a photographer to come along last year, and that was like the best invest. I mean, she came as a participant and then, did professional photos that we've just, used over and over for our marketing. And
Yeah.
I highly recommend anyone doing a retreat to get a professional photographer. Yeah, we didn't do that for Costa
100%.
Rica. It is a
Yes.
little harder.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, and it also like did you have them also photograph the participants so that they were able to get some headshots and stuff
Oh
like
yeah,
that too?
everybody
Yeah.
came home
So
with a
the whole yeah.
headshot, and then we had the group.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was really nice for participants too to have that.
Yeah, right. And like it's so great to capture those moments in
Hmm.
in film in my old world, but like digitally
Yeah.
and to really because there's a lightness that is happening when people are in that kind of environment
Yeah.
that just isn't there when you're like, I live somewhere where there's a lot of snow. If I have to trudge to a photography session, there's a totally different vibe than when
100%.
you're with your people and you're feeling seen and you're feeling heard and you're feeling supported. So I love that you include that. And yeah, definitely I would encourage people to include that as well, both for you and for the participants. So can you tell us, Renee, a little bit more about when this retreat is happening and where people can go to kind of check it out?
Yes, it is called New Narratives, and you can find it at newnarratives.club. It is April 16th through 19th in Point Reyes, California. We're staying at the Lodge at Marconi, which used to be an old radio transmission center.
Oh,
Uh,
cool.
so yeah, there's kind of a cool connection there between, like signaling and messaging and like sharing stories. And it's sort of it's like where the redwoods meet the California coast.
Oh,
One of our activities, which is totally optional, is going to be a cold plunge in
nice.
the Pacific, which I do pretty regularly and highly recommend as a something that really, really does refresh and renew you.
Yes.
And there's some brain science there behind like the slow dopamine release, kind of resets your dopamine receptors,
Love
uh,
it.
and it actually makes you happy. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, we have activities like that, both in the natures and at the lodge. And what else? What else can I tell you about it? Those are the dates. That's the place.
Love it. Yeah, and like if you were to tell someone like, "Hey, this is for you what would
Mm,
that be? Who's this
yeah,
for? Like what are they dealing with? What are they
yeah,
thinking? What are they feeling?"
yeah. This is really for any online business owner that is tired of going at it alone. That really wants a supportive, intentional, intimate, thoughtful group of peers who understands exactly what they're going through. It's for someone who has a business that's working, but maybe isn't totally working for them. Like it's not feeling aligned, either in sales or marketing or strategy or business model, whatever it is. Maybe your clients aren't exactly the clients you want to be working with, and you're really looking to make your next most strategic move and need helpful guidance to do that. So, um, it's for people growing their business, but wanting to grow it intentionally. So, we have about 6 weeks left at this point, at the point of this recording on January 16th. And our other participants include executive coaches. We have a couple of writers. We have a productivity coach who coaches, like she's worked at Google and Salesforce and all the big companies and teaches an amazing workshop that she's going to lead us through. Um, yeah, business strategist, and then me, brand marketing storyteller. So
Love it. Very
big
cool.
group.
Okay, so if they go to newnarratives.club, they'll be able to find everything out there. And is there an application process? Like what does it look
Yep,
like?
there's a little application form where we just want to understand if this would be a good fit for you, if you would be a good fit for us. Doesn't take more than 5-10 minutes to fill out, and then we'll reach out to you after filling out that form and yeah,
Perfect.
let you know if it's a good
Awesome. Awesome. It sounds amazing. It sounds like the exact kind of group that you want to be part of and a great way to kind of just it feels like, settle and grow at the same time.
fit.
Kind of.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, which I love.
absolutely. Ground and grow.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Love that. Well, Renee, thank you so much for joining me for this. This has been great and really appreciate it and all the best with the next round of new narratives.
Thanks, Carrie.